Hi, I'm Ronnie from Ronnie's Garage. Today we're holding our monthly tech meet, and we're going to be doing a tune-up on a Silver Cloud 3. So we're going to get a little gas out of here just so everybody knows. So don't panic. Gas does not, when it hits the ground, it doesn't explode like in the movies.
Is there a filter closer to the fuel pump, or is that the only filter?
No, this is the filter that feeds the fuel pump. Your fuel pump is over here. Where'd my light go? There's the fuel pump. And as you can see, you got another fuel leak over. Oh, it's very slight. That looks like it's a new fuel pump.
Uh-huh.
New meaning less than 5 years old?
Yep.
Okay.
Is this fuel filter only on Cloud 3s?
No, it's on all the clouds. Same spot.
Same spot, same filter?
Same filter.
R-types, all.
Even the R-types. R-types are really cool because this is aluminum housing. R-type's solid brass. I don't know any cars that make anything solid brass anymore. You might get ripped on, by the way.
Yeah.
Can't you just undo the wing nut and take the top off?
Well, you could. You could pull that screen off, but you won't get the sediment that builds up in that.
Oh, I see, right.
When you service one of these cars, do you do this automatically? You check the screen?
We do it manually.
I mean,
But yes, it's when we do a major service, which includes a tune-up. Yes, this is part of it. It's on the checklist. Okay, I'm gonna put these up here. So now we're gonna get some fuel, more than likely. So these lines, there we go. These lines are pretty flexible, and you don't have to worry unless the gas tank is really full. And you don't want, you saw how I grabbed my arm here? That's to stop the gasoline there, because when it hits your armpit, it really burns. Just so you know. This will be, look, any gas, if it's really full, it's gonna want to siphon out of there. So it's better to do it when the car is not full. So let's go over here in the light so we can take this apart on the vise. So I'm going to dump the gas, and we will grab this. So these are old. I usually like to put a little lubricant on here, or penetrating fluid, or WD-40, or whatever you want. This right here, somebody says, why can't you just unscrew this? David did, I think. Unscrew this to get into it. And the reason I said was because you can't really inspect the housing. So the R-types, and I think the Mark 6s, I don't know about, they have an access panel inside the trunk. With some screws, you can take it off and you can crawl in there. For me, it's a lot easier. This right here should normally swing over, but it's just get it tight. This right here is pivots on these, but this one's pretty tight, so we may not be able to do that. Oh, there we go. There it is. Okay, and that's why oh, now it's much better. So, here's your, this has a thumb screw here. It has some very fine mesh screens here. And the screens don't look too bad. A lot of times they're just deteriorated. And you got a couple spacer washers here. I don't have my little screwdriver. These are aluminum spacer washers. This is kind of sticking here.
That's why Ronnie has to screen mine to change it so often.
Okay. So there we go. And normally, on really bad ones that have never been serviced, I'm going to dump this right here. But you can see there's a bunch of garbage here on that gasoline. And even in there, there's some garbage. But I've seen them packed right up to the top with garbage from the gas tank, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're just going to so this was serviced at one time or another, because that cannot be original.
So how does all that sediment get past those two fine filters to get to the bottom?
It doesn't. It just plugs it up. And when that plugs up, you can have a fuel starvation problem. So that'll usually show up when you're getting on the freeway, go down, at high speed for a few miles, it starts, or going up a hill is the best place to notice it because you're really in the throttle and it needs as much gas as possible. So we'll scrape some of this garbage out here. And you can use spray choke cleaner. I use this brake cleaner, because I don't have any, it's way over there. This will work fine. Now, this setup right here, you're going to have this sleeve that goes on there, and it should have a rubber seal under it. It's going to have a rubber seal on top of it, so that this thing, you can take these things and blow them out too. This ring right here went around the outside, and that's to keep any fuel from getting by. That's those screens. There's two screens, so it's a double stage. So then you set the screen on there, and then you can take this outer spacer and this inner spacer, and what they do is they keep the screens apart. Now, like on the Silver Ghost and the Phantoms, they got a stack of washers in their fuel filter. You ever take them apart?
Yeah, the Phantoms do, the Ghosts don't.
Okay, the Phantom does then, yeah.
And they get those.
They get
clog up.
varnished, and oh
And
man,
ethanol is causing fits really now.
right.
The car sits, they will clog up. I'm surprised the neoprene on that didn't get eaten by the ethanol.
Yeah. Now, there's a little.
Using heat stabilizer that was made for reducing the effects of ethanol.
And this little gasket, you can get them from Flying Spares and wherever. It's a UR796 for anybody who wants. I recommend you replace that rubber seal. There's no pressure here, but you don't want any extra leaks. And worse yet is if it sucks air, because then your fuel pump won't be pumping as well. Okay.
And that's the first filter in the system. There's nothing
This
inside
is the main
gas tank?
fuel filter.
Inside the gas tank, there's
No,
nothing?
there's just a pickup tube.
Okay.
There's no screen like modern cars, or sock or anything like that. This is the main fuel filter. There are two little screens at the carburetors too that you can clean out. So that's that. All right, I'm going to put this back on now.
In all my cars, you cut the fuel line.
And put an inline, yeah.
Paper filter with the clear outsides.
Yeah.
And that protects much finer to the carburetor.
You're right, it sure does. But for the purist, that's blasphemy.
Tough. Nobody's going to see it.
And if you go to a national meet and I crawl under your car to inspect it, there's a point.
Ronnie, does this car have a reserve tank?
No. A reserve tank is for some poor designing, I think, or a car or a vehicle without a fuel gauge, usually. All right, these two bolts that hold this to the frame bracket, I forgot to mention those. They're going back on. I always recommend starting the threads on these tubes before you tighten these bolts. It just makes it easier.
It's somewhat idiot-proof, so it's good. Yeah, well, you get about 3 miles an hour.
And these nuts are 7/16 BS, British standard. And they're made out of brass, so they're not. It's a compression fitting on this tubing, so you don't have to get them super tight. Plus, like I said, there's no pressure here.
Do you ever have
True
to blow
fact.
out the fuel lines?
Excuse me?
Do you ever have to blow out the fuel lines? For
Only
clearing
if
junk?
you run into some fuel starvation problems as part of a diagnosis issue. I don't recommend undoing all the lines and blowing them out, especially since we saw that this was really not in that bad a condition. really not necessary. So I'll give this a little cinch here because we moved it a bit. All right, now let's do some spark plugs.